Daniel Jones has been signed to the active roster of the Minnesota Vikings, and the corresponding roster move made by the Vikings is that they have waived former emergency quarterback QB3 Brett Rippon. Presumptively, Daniel Jones will be the new QB3, with this video being brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. This was not a move made to trigger any sort of shifting in the quarterback bullpen. This is not going to change anything with the quarterback position in the postseason. With the quarterback position, it will remain the status quo, minus the subtraction of Brett Rippon and the addition of Daniel Jones. Sam Darnold will be the starter in the playoffs. His job is safe. Nick Mullins, if Sam gets hurt, Nick Mullins as the backup will come in. And if for some reason both of them get hurt, then you've got the sequel of Any Given Sunday. In comes the third string quarterback, Daniel Jones. This move was made for strictly business purposes, as in the event that Daniel Jones ends up signing elsewhere as a free agent this offseason, the Vikings become eligible for a compensatory pick. As far as his future in Minnesota, I don't see him returning to be a backup just because some quarterback needy team will take a 1-year flyer on Daniel Jones, offering him more money as a starter than what he would be in Minnesota as a backup. Think about this. The Titans, they're going to have the number 1 pick. They will select Shedeur Sanders. The Browns at number 2, stuck with Deshaun Watson. Don't see them making a quarterback. They could trade down, but in this scenario, assuming that they don't trade down and it stays like it is in the draft order, then you've got the Giants at number 3. Obviously, they're not going to bring back what they sent off in the first place, but they do need a quarterback. They're going to end up selecting Cam Ward, which leaves the next QB needy team, the Las Vegas Raiders. In this scenario, they'll have 2 options. Either they could reach for Quinn Ewers or someone else with the 6th overall pick, or select a quarterback in the later rounds, Kyle McCord, for example, who's going to need some time, and in the meantime, address the starting quarterback position in free agency. I could see the Raiders trying to go after Daniel Jones. And of course, that means if they're trying to make a play for a starter in free agency, Daniel Jones would be the fallback option. He would be option number 2, because option number 1 means they will be vying for the services of Sam Darnold. But going to the Vikings side, it's always been, at least in the discourse, 2 options at the quarterback position: Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy. You either bring back Sam on the franchise tag, or you sign him to a 2 or 3-year deal, or if not, he goes away, signs elsewhere, and JJ McCarthy for 2025. Those have been the 2 options in the discourse this entire season. But this got me to thinking it's probably not going to happen, but it's at least an option. I would say door number 3. Sam Darnold indeed signs elsewhere, but the Vikings look at JJ McCarthy and say, you know what? We want you to just sit, learn, and develop for 1 more year. We need 1 more bridge quarterback in the process. In comes Daniel Jones to be the starter in 2025. The next reclamation project for head coach Kevin O'Connell. What does that look like for the Vikings next year in this hypothetical scenario where Daniel Jones is the starter? It's tough to say. It's certainly hard to reach the bar that Sam Darnold has set, 14-3 season, but considering Josh Dobbs last year had his career best game as a Viking with KOC coaching against the Atlanta Falcons when he didn't even know the playbook. Sam Darnold, his career best season. I'd say that in the event that Daniel Jones is the guy, the Vikings will still be competitive and they'll be okay. Maybe not 14-3 good, but they'll still be good nonetheless. New customers at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. Promo code YouTube150. Going to Sam Darnold, everything's at stake here. Not just the wild card round Monday night on the road versus the LA Rams, the Vikings season everything on the line, but also the level of bag that Sam Darnold can command in free agency this upcoming offseason. As it specifically relates to the Vikings, we got to understand something here. They just moved off of an expensive, talented quarterback. Why? Because he couldn't get it done. You know that you can only get but so far with that guy, despite how talented that he is. Last Sunday night, the biggest regular season game, not just in franchise history, but in league history, Sam Darnold soiled himself. And I would not have even cared, even in a loss, as long as you were competitive, that you stayed in the fight. Instead, you got the doors blown off of you. If you were just on target with your throws and you weren't just training evidently with Arnold Schwarzenegger, just throwing bombs left and right, Anthony Richardson, all the power in the world with zero accuracy, you would have had at least 4 to 5 touchdowns and you would have had a chance to win that game. Or if you lose that game, all right, we can say we didn't lose because of you. But instead, that's exactly what we're saying. Sam Darnold performed an all-time choke job. But in fairness to him, the season is not over with. Not yet. You want to make that stain a distant memory in Vikings Nation and within the Vikings organization, you need to ball out in the playoffs, a deep playoff run. You do that, then it's like, all right, let's sit at the table and have a serious discussion. Should we bring Sam Darnold back? What we saw against the Lions week 18, turns out that was just a blip in the radar. You saw what he did in the playoffs? That's the real Sam Darnold. But if you follow up week 18 with another stinker against the Rams in LA, the season's over. All right, bro, we're good. His agents, Jimmy Sexton, RG Gonser, Jim Denton, CAA Football, do yourselves a favor in the event of this scenario happening. Don't give us a call. Spend your time elsewhere. We're not interested. And I get the rebuttal of, well, with Sam, you had a super successful season, 14-3, top 5 quarterback. Look at these stats. That's impressive, but that's not just what it's all about. Put it like this. A cup of coffee at Starbucks is around $6 or $7. You can spend that money on one coffee, or in my case, at home, I'll make a pot of coffee for multiple cups or a K-cup for a fraction of the cost. You want a quick meal for the sake of convenience at the fast food joint? One adult meal is going to cost you around $12 or $13. In my case, I do the alternative. I make food at home. It lasts longer and it tastes better. At the grocery store, deli meat is around $10, $11, $12 a pound. You know what I do instead? I get a rotisserie chicken, I pull that ish apart, and I get at least 3 hefty sandwiches for $6 total. Just because the market says that this is the price point for a particular product or service does not mean that you, the individual consumer, must follow suit. You almost always have alternative options, multiple alternative options. I understand that the market value for Sam Darnold is going to be $40+ million per year. Why? Because the stats say so. Respectfully, I don't care. I, as in the Minnesota Vikings, the individual consumer. If I'm spending $40 million a year on a quarterback, I'm not paying just for stats. I'm also paying you to not do what you did last Sunday night. I'm paying you to not choke in the biggest, most crucial moments of the season. I don't care that the Dallas Cowboys succumb to the pressure of the quarterback position, knowing damn well they're never going to win anything with Dak Prescott, but the alternative is, well, what are we going to do? We got to go ahead and pay him. Or the Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, you know you're not going to win anything with him. But, well, he's put up stats, and what are we going to do without him? That's their problem, not ours. We're not going to be influenced based off of what everyone else does. We are going to make our own decisions based off of what is best for us in the short term and the long term. If you duplicate what you did last Sunday night in the wild card round, one and done in the playoffs. Season's over. We're finished. That said, the window is open. You make a deep playoff run, you ball out. Okay, let's have a serious conversation. That's how business works. Your thoughts in the comments section below. JJ McCarthy, Adam Schefter reports that teams will be calling to try to engage in a trade for JJ McCarthy with the Minnesota Vikings. From The Athletic, executives and coaches believe that McCarthy would be the QB1 in this year's draft. The Vikings are not trading JJ McCarthy. Also, Fox Sports, specifically Jay Glazer, reports that teams would be interested in trading for a head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Listen, man, how ridiculous would that be? I understand that teams call other teams all the time to engage in trade talks, even if it's for players or coaches that is not even on the table. It's called doing your due diligence. But to report that to the public, as in it really does imply that KOC, because next year he's going into the final year of his contract, that maybe the Vikings are indecisive on what to do. No, he's going to get an extension. He, along with the general manager, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. But just the idea, the notion that you just went 14-3, you almost won your division, you had an all-time season, one for the books in franchise history. And after doing that, you know what? I bet you they're willing to trade their head coach. What? Are you drunk? That's not going to happen. They're not trading JJ McCarthy. They're not trading Kevin O'Connell. Thanks to the folks at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. We'll see you next time.